Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Health Tech Wednesday event that we have. My name is Charl. I'm the strategy associate at HITLAB. And yeah, today we're going to have an incredibly exciting event. Before that, just want to talk a little bit about the HITLAB Digital Health Symposium. It's going to be happening on June 26th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And essentially, we have all these amazing people who are just really going to talk about how digital health and digital technologies are really driving health equity in the US ecosystem. So definitely feel free to tune in and learn a lot from individuals that work at Metadata, Microsoft, hospital systems across the US. We also want to welcome our guest, Unika Alexander. She's the co-founder and CEO at the Proficient Lab. Unika, please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here today. It's always great to be part of HITLAB events. Like Charles said, I'm the co-founder and the CEO at the Proficient Lab. My background is in laboratory medicine from a regulatory and operations standpoint. And yeah, I'm here today and I'm happy to have this conversation and just be a part of this amazing group of women who continuously come on every Wednesday and share their stories.
Yep, and we're very, very grateful to have you here today. Well, we heard congratulations are definitely on the way on some recent exciting news. Can you tell us a little bit more about milestones that the Proficient Lab has, acquired and what it means for you and the company?
Yeah, so we have hit a few milestones most recently. So we've been fundraising, and most recently we've started securing funding for our startup, which is very exciting because we hear what's happening in the news in terms of statistics and just what's happening with female founded companies and just how much of that equity in terms of funding goes to these to companies like mine in terms of being a female founder. So being able to, break through and finally start bringing in that funding from investors is really exciting news for us. So we're happy to share this news today.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. That truly is very exciting and definitely a huge milestone. Would love to know about how this latest achievement fits into, the company's long-term mission and vision.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that when we talk about funding, it's part of the journey. It's not the destination. The destination is obviously to build a company that makes impact, to build a company that's profitable. So this is definitely a huge milestone in terms of getting us to certain other, internal milestones that we intend on hitting in terms of customer acquisition, in terms of marketing. Just in terms of overall growth, this is amazing, and it also signals to other individuals who are interested in investing in our company that we do have individuals behind us who understand the mission and who understand that there is a benefit and there is a path to getting an ROI on their investment. So all in all, this really helps us grow from multiple standpoints as a company.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Would love to know a little bit about what really inspired you to found Proficient Labs. Was there a personal moment or even potentially like a professional gap that you really wanted to address within, the healthcare ecosystem?
I think it's both. So in terms of founding, like being the founder of a company, I've always had this drive to do it. I can't even explain what that internal drive is, but it's there. But in terms of specifically focusing on what we built with the Proficient Lab, it was really a milestone or a gap that I saw from an industry standpoint. So like I mentioned, part of my career growth has been in operations and compliance in the testing space, the laboratory space. And compliance specifically is a very cumbersome layered process when we talk about testing sites. And there was a gap. There was a gap in terms of being able to automate things and being able to introduce AI and being able to just make things quicker because we talk a lot about short staff. We talk a lot about just not having enough resources to meet the demand. So seeing that there was an opportunity to simplify, automate compliance for testing sites, for laboratories that's involved in our everyday life. I would, argue that almost every single person who is on this call today has gone through some type of testing. You've gone to the doctor, they've taken your blood, your urine, etc. They have to send it somewhere. They have to send it to these laboratories, and the compliance of these laboratories literally mean your safety. So we're very excited to be able to provide an easier pathway for them to ensure your safety. So these are the types of gaps that I saw in terms of my career that kind of pushed us to create something different and innovative with the Proficient Lab.
Wow. And I feel like having this experience really allows someone to really identify and also have that, combined with the passion of wanting to solve the problem. So I can definitely see how, all of those things kind of came together to lead to the creation of the Proficient Labs. I
Mhm.
guess when you started this journey, did you envision reaching this point? You recently hit a really big milestone. Or, was this path that you kind of went out on, did it unfold in surprising ways?
It's the latter. Like, honestly, when I started this journey, it was really focused on, okay, there's a problem, it needs to be fixed. And even then, like, we've gone through iterations of understanding the problem better, because you always go into it, at least for myself, we kind of went into it from, well, what is the problem I'm having? And that was the seed. But as you grow as a company and you start understanding market research, you start understanding your customers better, then it becomes less of what is the problem I'm having, and it becomes what is the problem that I'm solving for my customers. So seeing that has definitely been like, it's been growth. What I started off with in terms of my, vision, it's definitely evolved. And where I am today, like, did I think that I would be here when I started the journey? No. But as things evolved, you figure out how to, like, what's needed to meet the demands of the time. So yeah.
Got you. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I feel like a part of startup culture is just definitely going with the flow, being incredibly adaptable, and just flexible.
Mhm.
Would love to know a little bit about just so far, I guess we're in this period of reflection. What has been the most rewarding part of building and growing Proficient Labs so far?
Ooh, that is a loaded question. So one of the most rewarding parts is putting together a team that believes in the mission. Because it's one thing to have this idea in your head, but to actually get people to really embrace that idea and to push it forward with you, with feeling that they also share the understanding of what that need is, has been very rewarding. It's like having your crew go along with you on a journey. So that's been rewarding. And then even speaking with, whether it's an investor or someone who's new, and actually them seeing that aha moment where, okay, this is a problem, this does need to be solved, this does provide value for an industry. These are all the moments that have just made me feel really, really appreciative and really just good about the journey that we're on and what we're bringing to the market.
Mm-hmm. And I guess just like a follow-up of that, you often hear about the value proposition of a business or an idea. What is the unique value that you're bringing to the ecosystem? I know we have a lot of individuals here that might potentially have startups or, might think of creating a startup. Would love to know any advice that you have on, really clearly identifying and narrating the unique value proposition of a company that you're starting or a part of.
Yeah. Get out of your head. Like, honestly, get out of your head. I think it's like I said before, it's all well and good to have the idea in your head, and that's great to get you started, but you really need to talk to your customers. You really need to understand the market. understand what's happening from, different standpoints. What's in the news? Like, how does, politics affect your company? How does different regulatory changes affect your company? What are your customers saying? Constantly keep in touch with them, ask for that feedback. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. But asking is very important, because if you're just moving forward without getting that feedback, or really listening to the industry, then you're going to be stuck in one place. And sometimes, not sometimes, very often, it takes that growth mindset to get you from basically an idea to having something that has a true solid value proposition for the market.
For sure. I mean, it sounds like an incredibly um, rewarding aspect, but at the same time, making sure that you have this idea that at the end of the day, this is pretty iterative. So making sure that you have input from, the people who you're creating the product for in the first place, that is involved in that iterative cycle. I'm curious about just so far, I'm sure it has been a bit, of a roller coaster ride. I'd love to learn a little bit about, the challenges that you faced as a founder and a leader, and how have you overcome them, or currently what are you doing to kind of build those blocks to overcome them?
Yeah. So in terms of challenges, I think it's sometimes as a founder or as a leader, you feel like you have to do everything. And don't get me wrong, like as a founder, you're going to be involved in marketing, in testing, in customer experience. Like you're just going to be involved in everything. But at the end of the day, you are a person and you do need to take a deep breath. So I've definitely gone through phases where I just felt overwhelmed trying to do everything. And there's definitely been points in time where I need to tell myself, okay, you do not want to burn out. You need to just relax, take a step back. So I think it's really important to understand that you do need to be kind to yourself, and not push yourself to the limit. But as a founder, you're always going to be involved in every aspect of your business, and it is your baby. And you don't want to micromanage, but you want to make sure you have your hands in everything. But part of the process is also being able to let go and trust that you've pulled a team together that could act on your behalf, even when you're not in the room. So I would say these are some of the challenges that I face, just having to tell myself that I don't have to do it all. And then even as a female founder, sometimes you face these, this is kind of like a side note from what I'm saying, but as a female founder, you do run into these biases, whereas maybe subconscious biases, and I think it's important for you to recognize them, even if you may be interacting with individuals who don't even know that they're subjecting you to some of these subconscious biases that female founders face. So I think it's important to recognize those, and then to sort of, position yourself in a way where you're not getting the short end of the stick in those situations.
For sure. Definitely have to be an advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like as women, we sometimes are not doing that. So the importance of that, and just imposter syndrome definitely exists. And so yeah, a lot of really great, I guess, things to think about. Would love to know a little bit about, switching gears, about innovation and specifically Proficient Labs. We talked a little bit about just value propositions of startups. Would love to know about what really differentiates the Proficient Labs from other players in the space, and what is essentially like your competitive edge.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, it's interesting when we started our company, like we've gone through different iterations. So we started off with some of the issues with training and just skill assessment of laboratory teams. And then we moved into data management. And that kind of gave us the opportunity to really brand ourselves as a quality management system. But we've moved on from there, because what we realized is that, there is a journey, which is keeping up the quality of the environment, but the end goal is being able to meet compliance. And there's a lot of things like submissions that goes into compliance, whether it's through CMS or the FDA. And we're talking about, if someone's, submitting an application for, let's say, something like an LDT, a lab developed test, it's a 350-page application, right? So being able to take a laboratory from a compliance standpoint from end to end, so being able to allow them to perform their submissions for the different regulatory agencies, being able to have them provide internal and external audits on demand, and then being able to provide a quality management system that's the foundation of this is something that really differentiates us, because you'll find that there are in terms of our competitors, quality management systems, and they kind of do what, document control, that stuff, but really looking at the full, I guess, end-to-end journey of what compliance means, like what it means to actually get a license, actually get a certificate. How can we automate that? And then if you don't have what's necessary to meet a specific requirement, we're providing you templates. So you could basically just fill in the templates that fit your needs and then keep chugging along with that specific submission or that specific audit. So these are some things that differentiates us apart, not just providing the framework, but providing guidance to actually meet those requirements, meet the audit requirements, but also to do those in a compressed amount of time, opposed to having to do audit prep for 2 weeks. It's on demand. The audit prep is eliminated because the system is constantly keeping you updated, and also using AI. So being able to have AI say, well, this is the evidence that you provided for this specific piece of compliance, and for AI to say, well, this meets it, or changing this to this particular version will actually be more beneficial to you, is something that we also provide that differentiates us. So really having almost like a agentic consultant in on your computer through your compliance journey, something that really helps differentiate us as we move along and build for our customers.
Amazing. I guess by extension of that, and looking forward into the future, what impact do you hope the Proficient Labs will have on the lives of, patients, providers, and just the broader healthcare ecosystem in the next 5 years?
I think it really allows us to, first of all, allow our industry to do a lot more with the resources, the human resources that they have. I believe that we will allow labs to do a lot more, testing sites to do a lot more with fewer subject matter experts. Right now, we see that, if you want to accomplish a specific milestone in terms of your compliance journey, you need to go out and get a consultant. Because there are just so few subject matter experts in the field. So we do see an opportunity to really provide an alternative, an alternative subject matter expert. And what that means is that it's going to speed up how we get those testing sites on board in terms of, diagnosis and treatment. And this is both in the healthcare space, in the research space, and in the pharma space. So just being able to get things going quicker, and also being able to trust that the site that's running your specimens has met compliance to the utmost regulatory standards, is something that we're hoping to just make a norm in the industry without having to go through all of the hoops of not understanding what the path is to actually get there.
Wow. I mean, definitely a lot of implications on so many different stakeholders within the ecosystem. I'd love to know a little bit about if there are any upcoming projects, launches, or milestones that you're particularly excited about, or, maybe you could share a sneak peek of.
We have a few things on our radar. We're definitely looking forward to utilizing more AI. We're all constantly thinking of ways that AI could help simplify processes, to help kind of like just remove the human burden of completing some of these more cumbersome step-by-step processes. So that's exciting for us. We're looking forward to partnering with other systems. So for instance, our system, the underlying part of our system is a quality management system. And that's basically where all of the operational data is held, like who's doing what and how, and processes and procedures. But there is more that goes into this. There are LIS systems. There are EHR systems. So LIS is Laboratory Information Management Systems, EHR, Electronic Health Records. we're looking forward to being able to partner with these companies through APIs. And what that means is that we just provide a more seamless way to aggregate all of this data to make the final, the finish line, which is, audits, submissions, compliance, more seamless for these testing sites that are, like I mentioned, short staffed and low on resources.
Got you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Would love to know, a little bit about, how has this journey of being, a CEO and founder shaped your personal growth as a leader, entrepreneur, and innovator?
It has. Let's see. It's definitely opened up doors for me in terms of just kind of the perception of what my capabilities are. I definitely gotten a lot of opportunities just because the ability to present myself as a leader, but also as a leader who's actually making an impact, has been very beneficial for me. In terms of there's just so for instance, I am about to start a course at Harvard Business School this month, next week. And it's, a course on negotiation, because as a founder, I need to really be able to navigate through these deals as we, manage bigger and bigger contracts. So as a founder, I need this type of skill, but this is also very useful in my personal life. So being able to use these skills that I'm gaining as a founder and sort of transition it to things that would help me from a personal standpoint has really been beneficial. Being able to, manage my team, and not just from a, I'm the CEO type of standpoint, but also from a very personal, like we're a team, we're growing together. My success is your success, our success. So this is all, translated into me building stronger bonds with the people that I work closely with. So I don't think any of this is in isolation. I could go on and on about different aspects of how being a founder has helped in different parts of my life. But it's continuously evolving, and like I gave two examples of how that's
Mhm.
shaped different things.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Looking back at your journey so far, what are some words of advice that you would give to yourself or, other individuals in your space?
Words of advice. I feel like I said the same thing the last time I was on here before. Be good to yourself. Just kind of listen. So yeah, be good to yourself in terms of really, you're going to do everything that you can when you've made the decision to be a founder, but also be good to yourself as a person. Understand when you need to take a moment to breathe. Because so it's my grandmother who passed away. She always said, an empty sack can't stand, and she's from the Caribbean. So it's like if you can't nourish yourself, then you can't give of yourself. So definitely that. Listen to people who are wiser than you. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So definitely, seek the advice of people who know more. And then absorb it. See how it translates into different, into different aspects of what you're doing, and definitely iterate. Like if you have an idea right now, it may not be, you may have to iterate 5 times before someone even pays attention. But if you truly, believe in what you're doing and you're able to articulate it, like talk to whoever's ready to listen. And then once you get advice or you see that there is something that may help you on your journey, iterate. Like don't be afraid to iterate and continuously launch again and again and again. But that's how you're going to get to where you want to go.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that insight and just like everything that you've shared so far. As like a wrapping question, what would be the best way to contact you if we wanted to know a little bit more about yourself and also the Proficient Lab?
So LinkedIn is the best way to get through to me. I'm not sure if I'm able to share my email, but my email is I'm happy to share my email with anyone who really wants to send me a one-on-one message, but LinkedIn is really good. I'm on there and I try to be as responsive as possible.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, really appreciated this conversation.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here. I'm always happy to be part of anything HITLAB. HITLAB has been such a huge supporter of our journey, and I'm just really appreciative of that.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, Unika, for joining us. Join us next week. We will have our next chat. Also want to say a huge shout out and thank you to our sponsors,